Miami city officials ordered the residents of a housing complex to evacuate because of structural issues in the building.
President Biden is taking a victory lap as his budget and infrastructure bills are taking one huge step closer to passage. Deborah Alfarone in Washington with what comes next.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Residents of a downtown Miami, Oklahoma apartment complex are given 24 hours to vacate. This is KOAM News at 5. Residents and businesses in the Miami Towers on Main Street have until noon tomorrow to vacate because of structural issues that were just found. KOAM Zach Dodge joins us live from outside the towers where residents are scrambling to pack up.
Residents are getting the bare essentials, what they can fit inside of and oftentimes on top of their cars and vans, trying to get out in under a day, move their entire lives. Many residents I spoke to do know where they're going because the Miami Housing Authority is helping them get into new temporary homes in hotels and other apartment complexes. Now here's some background. The city is working on renovating the 100-year-old building, and yesterday engineers did a survey and then reported back to the city this morning saying the structural integrity of the building is compromised.
This is a tough decision, and we didn't want to displace anybody, and it's absolutely a life safety issue, and because of the engineer's report, we felt it was something we had to do, and the city had no desire to displace anybody. We're glad that the Housing Authority is stepping up and helping them relocate.
We're standing outside of the side entrance to the building, and if you come down just a few steps to this corner, it's one of the main corners that the city is the most concerned about. They say the structural damage impacts the fire escape routes for the building. So, like we said, residents are being given until noon tomorrow to get what they can and get out. Reporting live in Miami, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Zach, thanks. A major Southwest Missouri employer is getting even bigger. A groundbreaking on the Lazy Boy Neosho campus today marks the start of a $30 million expansion of its 550,000 square foot plant. The furniture making plant that began operations in 1970 currently employs about 950 workers and intends to hire 100 more. The expansion includes various upgrades and renovations throughout the upholstery plant, a new medical clinic for employees and their families, and a new parts distribution center. Doug Heddy joined us. It remains very hot out there, Doug.
Yeah, it's been super hot outside over the past, 4 or 5 days. Temperatures well into the 90s and our heat indices way up there as well. We do have a few little cumulus clouds that have popped up over the past couple hours, but we are staying dry. We're going to stay dry as we go through the overnight hours. Bigger thunderstorms really from the Great Lakes that will kind of extend back out into western parts of Kansas as we go through the evening hours. But all those storms are going to stay north of us at least tonight, but we are going to have chances starting to go up as we go through the next few days. Look at our temps. Most of us mid-90s. Then you factor in the humidity, you get the heat index, which it feels like about 100 to about 102 across the region. Through the evening hours, we'll slide back through the 90s into the 80s. Very warm night again tonight, upper 70s, 4 overnight lows. When are we going to get a break? We'll look at that here in just a bit.
Catch you then. President Biden says now is the time for his Build Back Better plan as the economy continues to recover from the pandemic. His agenda is included in the Senate-passed budget framework and the bipartisan physical infrastructure package. Both measures now move to the Democrat-controlled House, where leaders have signaled they won't pass one without the other. Deborah Alfarone reports from Capitol Hill.
Good afternoon.
President Biden pushed his Build Back Better agenda just hours after the Senate approved a $3.5 trillion budget framework on a party line vote.
I am committed to making sure that our historic economic recovery reaches everyone. This time reaches everyone.
The massive spending measure encompasses the president's key social agenda priorities, which include climate change, child care, health care, and a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants.
This was one of the most significant legislative days we've had in a long time here in the United States Senate.
The Senate adjourned for recess Wednesday following an all-night vote-a-rama that began soon after the body also overwhelmingly passed a $1 trillion bipartisan physical infrastructure bill. President Biden later discussed that legislation in a virtual call with state and local leaders.
It's the first big bipartisan thing we've done in a long while, and I think it's long overdue.
President Biden has expressed optimism that both bills will make it to his desk, but congressional Republicans, they are overwhelmingly opposed to the budget framework, and they have vowed to draw out the process.
We're going to argue it out right here on the floor at some length.
The House is expected to return from recess the week of August 23rd to take up the budget framework. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has said the chamber won't consider the smaller bipartisan infrastructure bill until the larger spending package is passed. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
Senate Democrats are using the reconciliation process to advance the $3.5 trillion spending bill without GOP votes. But that means all 50 Democrats must support it, and moderate Democrats Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin have expressed concern over the measure's price tag. President Biden held a closed-door meeting with business, university, and healthcare leaders to discuss strategies to get more Americans vaccinated. On Friday, a panel of outside experts at the CDC will discuss a third potential booster for some Americans. The CDC also updated its vaccine recommendation for all pregnant women, saying new data showed no increased risk of miscarriage among those who got the shot. Still ahead, consumer prices continue to rise.
The price of eggs is up nearly 6% in the past year. I'm Alice Gaynor with a new government report showing prices on thousands of consumer goods on the rise.
And next in Health Watch, the American Heart Association is raising awareness about sleep apnea in patients with cardiovascular disease. Topping today's Health Watch, new research links preterm and early term births to a higher risk of autism. The study published in Pediatrics looked at more than 4 million people in Sweden born between 1973 and 2013. Autism prevalence was 40% higher in those born preterm and up to 15% higher in those born early term compared to full-term births. Millions of Americans suffer from sleep apnea. It affects up to 80% of people with cardiovascular disease, yet it's under-recognized and under-treated. Reporter Michael George shows us how the American Heart Association is raising awareness.
Jill Friedman has struggled with very high blood pressure for more than 15 years.
We tried 7 different combinations. They would work maybe for 2-3 months and then they would stop working.
It was a new diagnosis that finally helped him get his blood pressure in check. Sleep apnea, a condition that interrupts breathing during sleep.
I was in denial, although I've been told for many, many years that I snore like a truck. Very tired. I would fall asleep almost every afternoon.
The American Heart Association is raising awareness about sleep apnea in patients with cardiovascular disease or risk factors.
This is something that they should take seriously. It can lead to a lot of cardiovascular complications,
including high blood pressure, heart rhythm disorders, and sudden cardiac death, stroke, coronary artery disease, heart attack, and diabetes. The Heart Association says screening for sleep apnea is critical.
You don't have to go to a sleep center to get diagnosed. You can actually get a home sleep study done. In addition to CPAP, which is still very helpful for some of the patients, we have alternative therapies. So if patients don't want to wear a CPAP machine or they're intolerant of it, we can actually treat them appropriately with oral appliances.
Friedman, who works for the American Sleep Apnea Association, uses a CPAP.
I'm never tired in the middle of the day anymore. I mean, I wish I could sleep without having a mask on all the night. But since I can't, it has had a profound influence on my quality of life.
Within a month of using the machine, his high blood pressure was under control, and he's getting a good night's rest, too. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
Risk factors for sleep apnea include obesity, large neck circumference, smoking, family history, and nighttime nasal congestion. Black patients who receive liver transplants have lower survival rates after transplant surgery than white or Hispanic patients. Researchers from Keck Medicine of USC found black patients were on average 15% more likely to die after a liver transplant, and outcomes have worsened over time. They say their findings are a big wake-up call for healthcare professionals to do better delivering equitable care. That is a look at today's health news. Later, our pet vet on call.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eva Dudek from Parsons Pet Hospital. Coming up, we're going to talk about the risk of heartworm disease.
Plus, the heat's going to stick around for the next few days, and then we get some relief. We're going to look at that here next. Well, it's turned out to be another hot day for us today. We have been above 90 degrees for several days now, dating back to about last Friday when the heat really kicked back in after last week really wasn't that bad. Most of us into the mid 80s through the week, and then we've been into the mid, if not upper 90s over the past couple days, plus those very high heat indices. Temps right now, most of us pretty hot, 91, Nevada 95, and Miami 95. And Anderson, Pittsburgh at 91, Independence is sitting at 96 degrees. And then if you factor in the humidity, you get the very high heat indices. Feels like about 100 to about 102 outside right now across the entire four-state area. Pretty much clear skies. We do have a few cumulus clouds which have been sneaking in. 95 feels like a 101 at the airport in Joplin. Dew point is sitting at about 69 degrees, which really isn't that bad. It could be even higher. Our temps are going to drop back through the 90s, 80s, eventually into the upper 70s a little bit later on tonight. So another very warm night across the region. Heat advisories in effect again for us tomorrow, as it's going to be very similar to what we've had today and over the past couple days. Few little random clouds have been sneaking through, but in general, not much going on here. You have to travel to our north across the Great Lakes where you have showers, thunderstorms, some severe weather, and these kind of trend back into southwestern parts of Kansas. A few thunderstorms are going to get going. This is all right along a cold front. You can see the wind shift line in northern parts of Kansas. Eventually, this front's going to push through and kind of hang out just to our south by the time we head into Friday, and that's going to help our temperatures out, plus our humidity just a bit. But besides that, not a lot going on. No big storm systems out to the west. So let's go through time during the overnight hours for us tonight. Thunderstorms to our north. By the time they would try to work in, they pretty much fall apart. So we're going to stay dry tonight. Upper 70s, very warm, very humid again. We start to heat up tomorrow. Here's about the noon hour. We're going to be right around 90. We're going to go into the mid 90s again tomorrow afternoon. So very similar to what we have been seeing the past couple days. Here's your forecast. 77 to start, 91 by noon, high temp again, right around 96. A little breezy. Those southwesterly winds at about 10 to 20 during the afternoon. Thunderstorms to our north again tomorrow evening. These will try to work in tomorrow night, especially along and north of I-44. Scattered showers and thunderstorms. Some of these could be on the stronger side, and where these do develop, we'll get some heavy amounts of rain, which we can use a little bit of rain by now. And then we'll have a few leftover ones on Friday morning, and then I think Friday afternoon we'll get a few additional pop-up thunderstorms again, mainly along and south of Interstate 44. Heat indices up there again for us tomorrow. Most of us about 105, but as that front starts to work in, they start to drop off a little bit. You can see a little bit lower by the time we head into Friday. And then even Saturday, we could have a random shower of thunderstorms sticking around, but then we start to dry out a bit. Sunday into Monday, temperatures a little bit better as we're mainly right around 90 for a high. Still hot, but not the extreme hot that we have seen. 96 tomorrow, 94 on Friday. A little bit cooler, 87 on Saturday, back to 90 by Sunday.
This heat and wind we've had, I imagine the fire danger is high, so
Yeah.
a bit of rain would be a welcome thing for
Yeah,
sure.
we could definitely use a few showers and thunderstorms.
Thanks, Todd. Coming up, Serenade Foods recalls 60,000 pounds of chicken products. First, we honor a local veteran. Carl Judd served in the U.S. Army from 1943 to 52. The Granby, Missouri native was stationed in Europe and Korea, and we salute Corporal Carl Judd, a four-state hero. Topping Consumer Watch today, Serenade Foods is recalling about 60,000 pounds of food because of possible contamination. The USDA Food Safety and Inspection Service announced that Frozen, raw, breaded, and pre-browned stuffed chicken products sold at Aldi could be contaminated with salmonella. The products were produced on February 24th and 25th of this year. The agency is urging Americans to throw that food away or return it to the store. The cost of living is on the rise. The Labor Department reported consumer prices jumped 5.4% in July from a year earlier. Reporter Alice Gaynor tells us what products are getting more expensive.
Filling up at the pump remains pricey, especially for drivers with long commutes.
If I'm having to put, $30 or $40 in my tank every other day, that's a lot.
A new government report says gas is up 41% compared to last year, fueling a rise in overall prices, including food. The cost of eating out in July saw its biggest one-month surge in 40 years. And shoppers are spending more at the grocery store. Beef and veal jumped 6.5% in the past year. Pork products increased nearly 8%, and whole milk rose 8%.
A lot of these prices have definitely gone up.
And that has Catherine Carcamo changing her shopping habits.
Maybe like a brand that you usually don't buy, or maybe like smaller.
There is a little bit of good news. Even though prices are going up, they're not rising as fast as previous months.
Used car prices slowed last month after soaring for most of the year. Airline tickets declined a little from the previous month, but are still up 19% over last year.
Those increases that we've seen continue to put a squeeze on the household budget.
Bank rates, Greg McBride says it's not clear how long the current increases will continue.
We won't know until probably early part of 2022 with any clarity whether or not inflation was just passing through town or whether those higher numbers are here to stay for a while.
Pandemic-related supply chain issues are one factor influencing costs. Once those stabilize, economists believe prices could too. Alice Gaynor, CBS News, New York.
One bright spot in the report is prices for fruits and vegetables are down slightly in the past month. Could cost you more to ship off packages to family and friends this holiday season. The U.S. Postal Service has proposed adding surcharges anywhere between 25 cents to $5. The fees would apply to both commercial and retail customers between October 3rd and December 26th. Final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to hear more about the evacuation of the Miami Towers because of structural issues. Plus, the Parsons, Kansas School District mask policy takes effect today. And we're going to hear from the head football coach of the Seneca Indians going into his first year leading the team. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Heartworms are parasites that can be fatal for our pets, and they're the subject of today's question for our Pet Vet on Call. Sue asks, how common are heartworms in the area? Are we putting our little dogs at substantial risk by not giving them heartworm medication?
Very common, and yes, you are putting your dogs at risk. We've seen more heartworm disease this year than in a long time. Heartworm disease are worms that are about 12 to 16 inches long that live inside your heart chambers and the arteries that go to your lungs. And if it doesn't kill your dog right away, it robs them of years of quality health. It's such a small price to pay. Get them on prevention.
Thanks for the question, Sue. We invite questions from anyone. If you have one, you just send it to petvet@koamtv.com. Dr. Eva Dudek from the Parsons Pet Hospital answers a different question every Wednesday right here on KOAM News at 5. And you can also find answers to previous questions on our website. All right, now let's check out our picks of the litter for the week. From the Joplin Humane Society, we've chosen this adult female Great Pyrenees mix. Her name is Jessie. She's a beauty. And from the Southeast Kansas Humane Society, we've chosen another beauty, this adult female cat. Her name is Lily. If you're looking for a pet, why not at least check out your local Humane Society? They always have a lot to choose from. It's hot out there still again tonight.
It is. It's going to be a warm night. We're only going to drop back into the upper 70s for overnight lows. Another alert day tomorrow. Heat advisories in effect. 96 heat indices, about 105. And then some scattered thunderstorms tomorrow night into Friday, even a few lingering into the weekend. But temperatures do cool off a little bit, which will be nice to see.
You bet. And the scattered thunderstorms, hope they're scattered everywhere.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. We'll see you at 6. Let's make it a great evening.